Hello, and thanks for joining me on a little update on living with our early T5. So we've had the van about a year now, and I wanted to go through a few things that you might expect having bought an early T5 yourself. So let's run through what we've had to spend, what we've been doing with it. Not all of the spending has been maintenance, or we've had to do it. We've done some upgrades as well. Some of the beauty of these vans is that you do end up getting a bit carried away. They are a modifier's dream, aren't they? So there's so many things you can do and change and upgrade and make personal to yourself. So we've done a few of those things as well. So that's obviously added a bit to the budget. So we've spent a bit of coin on that. But obviously we've had to do some maintenance to the van. It was very cheap when we bought it. It hasn't ended up as cheap as what we were hoping it was going to be. So I think realistically, you've got to go into these things with your eyes open. So here's a little rundown of what we've had to do in the last year of owning this early T5. So here we go on the outside. What's changed? Well, a fair bit actually. So as you can see, we've done a swamper conversion on this particular van just to make it different to our road going one. Obviously we have 6.1, it's very road orientated, lowered, big wheels, that kind of thing. So I wanted this, well, the early T5 to be very different. So the opposite end of the scale to that is a swamper. So we've added the A-frame, sort of nudge bar on the front there, the snorkel, which really divides people. I can't believe how many people have an opinion on the snorkel. It's really strange. Wasn't expecting that. We've put a body kit on it down there. Sorry, we'll keep the camera still. Yeah, so it's got the body kit on it with the arch extensions, a really nice set of Wolf Race Wolverine alloys, and then the side skirts coming down the van are there. The bars were on the van when we bought it, and finishing off, see, the tailgate spoiler was on the van when we bought it. So it's really, bodywork wise, a set of alloys, the bodywork protectors coming down the side, the full lot. So yeah, the wheel arches and the side parts, the snorkel, and then the nudge bar on the front. That kind of finishes up what we've done on the outside. We've done a few little bits and bobs just to make it a little tidier, as you can see. If the camera wants to play, there we go. Come on, yeah. So yeah, we've certainly sort of changed its appearance by adding that sort of swamper look to it. And yeah, I really like it. I think it's quite cool. Some drawbacks to the swamper, as we've discussed on another video. It does decrease the miles to the gallon a little bit. It obviously has added a bit of tyre noise to this one, but if you're happy to live with those, I think it does make it quite a durable vehicle for going anywhere and without as much sort of heartache as what you might have running a very low profile tyre with a 20-inch alloy on a modern potholed road. So there is something to be said about it being a swamper. It is the standard suspension that's on this van, so it hasn't been lifted. It's not particularly sitting square at the minute because our floor isn't very level outside the workshop. So it does sit nice and level once it's on the flat ground, but I think it looks pretty cool. So there's the outside. What have we done under the bonnet? Let's have a look. So under the bonnet, this is probably where some of the biggest expenses come from. So it's had a new intercooler, it's had a new turbo, we've put a new clutch in the van, it's had a new slave cylinder, it's had a new master cylinder, completely refreshed the brake fluid. Yeah, so there's been quite a lot going on underneath here. Some other bits and bobs has obviously changed as well, which you might be able to see by looking at the engine. Had a few issues with boost pipes. They've had to be sorted. Yeah, on the whole, it's the kind of sort of stuff that you're going to have to expect from these. The turbos on these are a little bit vulnerable. This is not the first early van that we've had to stick a turbo on. We've had 3 now. All of them have had turbos in the end. It's that variable vane setup that does create a little bit of problems as they get older. Yeah, so we had one turbo completely destroy itself. We've had another turbo where the vanes have just got sticky, and it's the same with this van as well. The vanes were sticky, which was causing like low boost issues, over boost issues, and yeah, and and a few little vacuum lines that we had to replace as well when we did the turbo, because they'd obviously perished as well. So what you can't see, and I don't think we can get it on the camera, it's had a new Gates coupling as well on the alternator. Again, you can't see probably through the grill, but it's like the intercooler has been replaced on this as well. Yeah, so a bit of money. Drive shafts on these things are like made out of chocolate, aren't they? Because of the way that they do wear the teeth on the input shaft, particularly on the driver's side. It's the driver's side that seems to be more of a problem than the passenger side. It had a new passenger drive shaft on it when we bought the van, so that was easy. That was already done for us. But we had to put a new driver's side drive shaft on, and the little half shaft that goes between the gearbox and the drive shaft, that was very worn, and the springs were broken on it, so that's been replaced as well. And then it's the usual things. We've serviced the van with the correct oil, the 506.1. We get that from Westway, really good supplier of that early style oil. It's not early oil, but you know what I mean, it's for the early engines, that 506.1. It's a really good oil specific for these 2.5s. So yeah, Westway, we normally buy it in a 20 litre. That'll see you 2 oil changes out of that. These are about 7 litres odd, I think, plus a bit in the filter and what have you. So yeah, well worth having from there. And as you can see, the snorkel is a proper plumbed in snorkel. So we'll just go back to that again. It's made by Bravo, who are a Spanish brand, and it comes through the wing to the inner wing, inside the scuttle there on a proper little nice sort of molded intake, and then comes around and into the pipe down, and then it replaces the cool air pipe that would normally come from outside the van, so underneath the bumper or where the light is here. It's where the cool air gets drawn in and then into the airbox. That's now replaced by this flexi pipe, which goes into where the cool air would draw. So it's completely sealed, and therefore, yes, you could go through a deeper puddle. That's not really what they're for. The snorkels were primarily designed for a dusty environment, for the like Paris-Dakar and that kind of thing, so it could have the air intake higher up so it is staying out of the dust. A lot of people think these are specifically for wading. Yes, they do lend themselves to that kind of thing if you wanted to do that, but that's not really why we put it on here. I just like the look of it, and if you're going to do a swamper, a lot of people don't do the snorkel because it is a little bit awkward, and it does put a really big hole in your wing. But I wasn't worried about that. We've got a spare wing if we ever needed it anyway, or we'd just swap it out and take it off if that situation ever arose. But I don't think it will. I really like it, and it's not noisy. It's quite cool. So yeah, but going back to the engine, that's about it really. A few little odds and sods, but other than that, it's been, oh yeah, this catch, wasn't it, one of the first things we did. Throws up loads of little wobblies when this catch doesn't work properly. So yes, new bonnet release catch in there with all the wiring corrected, because there was a load of mess going on with that. So that was the other thing. So looking like it's now going to be able to do a fair few more 1,000 miles before it needs attention with a bit of luck. So that brings us to the interior. What have we been up to in here? So the biggest change is the seats and the steering wheel. So we've put T6.1 covers on the seats, and in the back as well we have the Kombi seats, 2+1 proper Kombi seats. I think, as we said when we bought the van, this originally had come out of the factory as a Kombi, and it had the 3-bench seat in it from the factory. Somebody had come along and put some minibus style seats in there, and they were not any good whatsoever. So we've chucked those away, stuck them on eBay, got absolutely nothing for them, but just nice to get rid of them. And we've got ourselves a proper decent set of Kombi seats. So these are 2+1, and we've added the T6.1 brick trim to that, and a nice set of mats in the van as well. Always lifts it up a bit, doesn't it? We've carpeted the back, we've added van shades pods to the windows, and we've got a little sort of camping setup going on in there as well, with a big single bed down the bottom there. Yeah, like I said, it's all been retrimmed in there as well. But coming up to the front, we've added armrests onto the driver's seat. So we've turned that into a captain seat. We've changed the foam. So it's a 5.1 foam in there, which is a bit thicker. So same as the 6 and the 6.1. And then it's obviously got the 6.1 covers on it. And then just to add a little touch of modern, we've got a 6.1 steering wheel and airbag, which is quite nice actually, because at least then we get an airbag refresh, because the airbag on this one obviously would have been 20 years old. Now we've got an airbag that's only 4 years old, so that's pretty good. Done a little update on the gear lever gaiter, made that a bit more modern, nice with the tartan, and again, yeah, it's a nice set of mats in there as well. So one of the expenditures on the inside was actually the window switches. They were quite problematic, both sides, and the window switches, particularly on the passenger side, just didn't want to work at all. So the motors were absolutely fine, but it was the window switch itself, just the contacts in it weren't particularly great. So a swap out of the window switches, yeah, then saw those working again. Be aware there are some really cheap ones out there on the likes of eBay and all the other marketplaces that there are online. Some of them don't fit particularly well. So we tried a couple of the really sort of like low end ones, and then in the end, I think we had to either come from Volkswagen, or we modified one of them with a load of Volkswagen bits. So it wasn't as easy as what you think it should be, but the result is the switches now work, and that's great. The other thing that we had that was broken in the van were the speaker covers for the tweeters. They were both broken on the dashboard, and yeah, that was just making it look really scruffy. So a new set of tweeter covers, as you can see on there, has tidied that right up. So yeah, that's sort of refreshed that, changed a few bits. The seals, rubber seal on the driver's side, that was completely goosed. And as you can see, we've added a auto term heater, so that now pumps out, it's there. And because it's a Kombi, I didn't want it coming out behind the seat, because that's where the leisure battery is, and this is a 2+1 on the front as well. So the leisure battery sits underneath the driver's side, and all the affiliated components are underneath there. And the heater just pops out in front of the handbrake, so that's quite a nice place if you've run out of space and you want that there. I don't know if we can see it coming around there. Yeah, there it is. So it just sits in front of the handbrake, and it obviously warms up the cab area then, and from the cab area then you're going to get the heat travel through the rest of the van. So that's pretty nice and gives you a nice heater in there. We've done the headliner throughout the van, so all the headliner is done. Extra lights have been added as well, and like I said, the van shades, which are really nice. So it's looking pretty tidy. Let's go around the back and I'll show you a few bits in there. So the back has seen a little Kombi conversion that we do. So with the front seats, or the middle row seats, sorry, folded forward, you can then move the flap over on these Kombi seats here, and then get a really big single bed. So we've done that as well, and see the carpet lining continues throughout the van in a nice black carpet with the anthracite headliner, and we've got 6.1 LEDs in the roof as well. So here we are on the back of the van. This is what we've done. We've added our little Kombi pod. So this is Kombi pod light, so it's got no laminate on it. It's just a nice ply finish, storage underneath. and a flap that obviously goes across from the right hand side to the left, and that will get you a really nice big bed. So as you can see, the rest of the van is all carpet lined as you'd expect, and it's got the nice rubber Kombi floor. So the Kombi pod is secured down through the lashing points in the van on the factory location, so makes for a really nice secure little system out the back there. So that's it's not an expense that we had to do, it just makes it into a very usable van. So we've kept that Kombi usability of the van, but then added this little camping setup to it as well. And we've got the auto-term heater sitting at the top there on the C-pillar, nice and easy to reach location. Yeah, so that just very nice, easy setup, really good practical van. So thanks for joining me and our little tour around the early T5 that we've got. They can be a little bit expensive to maintain, but once you've done most of the work, it's like everything, the components will always work in cycles, won't they? So it depends on your mileage and what components you're going to have to replace. Nothing lasts forever. A lot of these bits were always designed to be replaceable components anyway, so a lot of it is just expected maintenance with something of this age with that kind of mileage. So as long as you go into these vans open-minded that there is going to be a little bit to spend on them, and some of the more common breakdowns caused by components that we all know don't last forever, and they do wear. So with a bit of preventative maintenance and a bit of check-in, these things can be great, and they do run really, really well. I'm a big fan of the 2.5 litre. It is a noisy engine, but it's a really good engine, a commercial style engine that works just really nice in these vans, really talky, quite powerful. So it makes a good van to load up with stuff like what we've done in this one. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed that. Just give you a bit of insight in the things that we've had to change on it. A lot of it was for our own benefit. Some of it is obviously maintenance that we've had to do because components have broken. But like I said, go in with your eyes open, buy on condition. The mileage on these old girls now is largely irrelevant because you're just looking for the bits that have been replaced already to save you a few quid, and the bits that are going to need to be replaced fairly soon. So keep that in mind and you'll have really good, successful ownership of early T5s. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much for joining me, and take care.